I just fully recorded an entire episode with my mic behind me. So, welcome back, guys. This is take two of the same exact episode that I just recorded. But obviously, the Lord must be putting something on my heart that I didn't put in the first video because what else? Would he have me do this twice? No, he didn't. I did. Anyways, hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm drinking a chai latte. It was a grande, but it is a grande, even though it's in a venti cup with light ice. This is actually huge. This is my order, by the way. Chai latte. I get 1 pump of brown sugar, 1 pump white mocha, light ice, oat milk, and extra caramel drizzle. Um, I have like a lot of energy right now, but anyways, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about why obey the commands of the Lord. Like obeying the commands of the Lord when it gets boring. That's what we're gonna talk about. Because let's keep it a buck, guys. Like sometimes it can feel like, why am I even doing this? Like, well, how does this benefit me? Because we're like selfish individuals. I mean, I rebuke that, but like humans, our flesh is selfish. But yeah. Sometimes it can feel like, why am I even obeying the commands of the Lord? Like, it's boring. Like, I mean, I don't find it boring, but I know that sometimes it can feel like that. Like, especially if you're somebody who is used to, I mean, it's hard to be a Christian. Like, but if you're someone who is used to be like easily angered or easily upset, or maybe you used to look at people lustfully, or maybe sometimes you still do, or maybe you used to curse or party or whatever, and you're feeling like, well, those things, like, I know that the Lord says that they're not right, but like, why? Like, I've been I haven't yelled at anyone in like a week, and it just feels pointless. Like, this person's getting on my nerves, like, and they just keep getting on my nerves. I keep like treating them like the Lord, but like they keep on getting on my nerves. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what your situation is, but I know that sometimes it can feel exhausting to obey. It can feel like it's exhausting to obey what the Lord is calling you to do. And so, like, why do we do it? Well, today we're going to be in Isaiah chapter 48, verse 18. And it says, if only you, I'm in NIV, by the way. It says, if only you had paid attention to my commands, your peace would have been like a river, your well being like waves of the sea. I really like this verse because, well, it's in Isaiah and he's talking to the Israelites. And time and time again in the Old Testament, the Israelites disobey the Lord and they get off track. I mean, they traveled in the wilderness. A 13-day trip took them 40 days traveling in the wilderness. And it can be similar for us sometimes, right? Like sometimes we're traveling in the wilderness, we are in the desert, we're lost, we're confused, and it can either take us a really long time to get right with God and to find his will for us and to start obeying him, or it doesn't have to. Or we can obey the commands of the Lord. And right here the Lord is telling them, if only you had just obeyed my commands, it wouldn't have taken you nearly this long. You would have had overwhelming peace. Like your well-being would have been perfect. And yeah, and he's telling it to us too. You know what I mean? And I lost my train of thought. but but what? Why did I just lose my train of thought entirely? It's because I've already recorded this. Um, but yeah, he says your well-being like waves of the sea. And so sometimes it feels like, why am I doing this? Like, I had a much more fun life before. I felt it was easier to follow my flesh and to let my flesh lead me. Now I'm letting the spirit lead me and I'm running into all of these problems, or I'm not having fun, or I'm alone. I don't have any friends anymore because I'm not equally yoked with people of this world. And it really all boils down to trust, right? Like Proverbs, what is it? What Proverbs is it? I don't know. Somewhere in Proverbs, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And why do we trust in the Lord? Because he's our father, right? And when you think of your parents, like when we're younger, our parents might tell us, look both ways before you cross the street. And we may or may not know why. I mean, it's a crosswalk. Obviously, the cars are going to stop. Why do I have to look both ways. You're just wasting my time. Like the light's gonna go before I get to the other side. You might not understand. But then you get older and you realize, oh, sometimes people don't pay attention. Like I need to look both ways. You know what I mean? But even if you don't understand while you're younger, you still do it. And why? Like, why do you still look both ways even if you don't understand? It's because you trust your parents and you know that your parents want what's best for you. And it's the same for our father. Like, he wants what's best for us. He wants us to be safe. He wants us to protect us. And so he gives us these commands, not so that we can live boring, meaningless, just unpleasant lives. Like, he doesn't want us to be miserable. He gives it to us so that we can live the opposite. And sometimes it boils down to patience. Like, sometimes it takes a lot of patience to unlearn following your flesh and how to live a life that's fulfilling after following your flesh for so long. Like maybe you used to party all the time and now you're feeling like, well, how do I have fun now? You know what I mean? Like if I don't drink it, I'm not smoking. Like how do I have fun? Or maybe I used to be or equally yoked with non-believers, people who were not spiritually benefiting me at all. And if you would have told me then like you shouldn't be equally yoked, I would have been like, why? Like it's okay to be a Christian and like be equally, like my best friend be an atheist. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like we just have two different beliefs. And I would have been wrong. I would have been totally wrong. Like I mean, now, I'm not saying you can't have like people in your life who aren't Christians. I have people in my life who aren't Christians. But to be equally yoked with somebody is a completely different thing. My best friend, I'm not going to have somebody who's an atheist be the bridesmaid at my wedding, but she might be at the wedding. You know what I mean? Um, and I understand that now because I look at how those unequally yoked relationships, well, they were equally yoked because I was also not spiritually benefiting them, but how those relationships were not with non-believers were um destroying me spiritually. And it makes sense even if I wouldn't have understood it then. Like it makes sense as to why I shouldn't be equally yoked with non-believers. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it takes a level of patience to realize one day it'll make sense. And hopefully it may never make sense as to why you obey these commands, but it doesn't have to because we trust the Father. And we know that he works all things for the good of those who love him, and he wants to work for our good. He doesn't give us these commandments for no reason. If you're feeling like it's pointless, if you're feeling like you're bored, if you're feeling like your life before was much more interesting or whatever, I would recommend you read Psalm 73. I read Psalm 73 a whole lot. A lot, let me tell you, because it is such a good psalm, and it just really talks about like obeying, why we obey the commands of the Lord, and it being just a complete thing about trust, even when we don't understand, even when it feels like people who are terrible people, even though I can't really call anyone a terrible person, but people who we feel like are oppressors, maybe like are at the top, and you're obeying the commands of the Lord and you're at the bottom, it can feel like, why? Like, and that's what Psalm 73 is all about. Like, it's like, why? You know what I mean? And it really answers that question. So I'd really recommend you guys um read that. But my point really, after I take a swig of this chai latte, oh, I'm so glad that I didn't get that on my dress because that was not a good sip. Anyway, oh, ASMR. Okay, sorry, I'm done. But my point really is we obey the Lord because he doesn't want us to be bored. He doesn't want us to just be miserable all of our lives. Like he wants to protect us and he does want us to have fun and to have good lives. And that is why he gives us these commands. And if you don't trust in the Lord, like then you're going to go against them. You're going to go against them if you don't trust in the Lord. And if you're like struggling with temptation or something like that and you're giving into temptation, I mean, this is a tricky thing to say, I feel like, but if you're disobeying the commands of the Lord, there's a lack of trust in some area. Because when you obey the commands of the Lord, you do it because you trust God. And I know that temptations can be really overwhelming. And I'm not gonna tell you like you lack faith if you fall into temptation or whatever, because we all fall short. We all fall short. Like, but to completely trust God is to completely give your life to Him, knowing that He wants what's best for you, even if it goes against your own desires. Like it's like when we talked about crucifying our flesh in like that first episode. Like we talked about like we defined crucifying our flesh as putting God's desires or God's will above our own emotions and desires. So it comes from a place of trust. And I just want to let you guys know, like, it can be really hard in the beginning, like, especially feeling like, why am I doing this? Or like, this is pointless. Like, when I chose to not be equally yoked with unbelievers anymore, I had no friends. I had zero friends, which was really hard for me because I used to idolize friendships. Like, and it would cause me to hate people who I fell out with, or to, I don't know, just like they were the center of my life. Was my peak life was how many friendships I had or how close I was to somebody. Like, you know what I mean? Like I needed a best friend or whatever. And when I chose to not be equally yoked with unbelievers, like, I mean, I was sad. Like I was sad for a really long time because I had no friends. And I understood why. So I kept trusting in the Lord and I kept just praying for Christ-centered friendships. And it took a few months, but now like I have some amazing Christ-centered friendships in my life, and they will actually be joining the podcast soon, very soon. Stay tuned. Make sure you have on your post notifications and that you're subscribed. But it took a while, and if I would have just been like, you know what, this is too hard, I'm just gonna stay with my old friend group. And you know what, I almost did. I think I actually tried to, but the Lord was like, nope. Like he did not let it slide. And so I finally had to just say like, okay, God, I submit it all to you. Um, but I'm so glad that he did, because I would have never known what it's like for for just like Christ-centered friendships are just so unlike any other friendships. Let me tell you, I mean, you're eliminating the false idols, the gossip, the you're just it's so spiritually benefiting. And it's so selfless too, like also spiritually benefiting other people. We're going to talk about Christ-centered relationships and Christian community in another episode, but there's nothing like it. But my point is, like, just trust in the Lord with all your heart. And it might be difficult in the beginning, but the Lord wants something that's best for you. What's that one verse? It's like, for as I don't even want to quote it, but the Lord's ways are so much higher than ours. And so I just want us to constantly remember Isaiah 48, chapter 18. You know, the Israelites constantly were disobeying the Lord. And if you think back to any sin that's traumatized you, or any sin that has, you know, really alter the course of your life, or anything that's altered the course of your life at all, or falling out with somebody, whatever it may be, it can all be traced back to sin. And if we think about it, like, we shouldn't harp on it, right? But if we think about it, we can say like, if only we had followed what the Lord commanded of us, like, we probably wouldn't have understood it at the time, but maybe you fell into lust and now that person broke your heart, you know, and you'll never get that experience back, you know what I mean? And we shouldn't harp on it, right? Because we're born again. The Lord forgives us for things like that. But my point is, like, if only you had listened to the Lord, you know what I mean? And we can think back to those things now and see that the Lord has a better purpose for us when we obey his commands. Like, his will is better for us when we obey his commands, as opposed to just, excuse me, obeying our flesh. um so yeah, I would recommend reading Psalm 73, and also just, you know, thinking back sometimes. I mean, when you feel like those moments, just pick a situation maybe, um where you can say, obeying the Lord helped me, or obeying the Lord would have helped me, and so I know that obeying the Lord now is going to be helpful for me. um yeah. um yeah, I don't want to make it too, like, don't want you to harp on the past too much, because the Lord says, forget the former things. But I think it's important to remember that the Lord has a will for us that's better than our own. And we can see it all throughout our lives. I mean, everyone's made a mistake, everyone's fallen short. So, anyways, this was a very disorganized episode, meaning I had no notes. And I really just felt a calling to film an episode today. And it's a beautiful day outside. But I did run into many issues filming this video. But I really do hope that you guys enjoyed it. Next time, be sure to get your chai latte. Take a little, here, you can take a little pic of my water. There you go. It's a really good order, especially if you like sweet stuff. But anyways, guys, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And I am praying for you all. I really just, make sure you comment below if you want me to talk about any other things, or, just your, share. Like, I want to get to know you guys. Like, I'm really just happy that you're here, and I really appreciate you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you on the next episode. I don't really have a specific schedule right now for when I release my episodes. I'm going to release try to release at least 2 every week, but there's no like strict days or anything yet. So anyways, comment down below. Let me know. You just say your name. Yeah. Love you all, and have a great week. It's Friday. Bye.